is considerably higher than officials anticipated in Connecticut. We're just half an hour away from the first poll closings in our area, and the results will be coming in fairly soon. We've assembled a political power panel to talk about today's election, and joining me are Richard Lee, he's the Director of Communications for the Hall Institute of Public Policy, Susan Del Percio, she's a New York-based Republican strategist, and Christina Greer, an Assistant Professor of Political Science at Fordham University. Welcome, all of you.
Thanks to be
This is, this is your last chance to look smart, see, because the polls are going to close and predictions won't matter. So I'd like to go through all three of you right now and get your prediction in specific numbers, what you think the Senate and the House are going to look like 24 hours from now, what the composition is going to be. So, Richard, you're in the hot seat right here. Tell me what the Senate, how the Senate's going to break down, how the House is going to break down.
Well, I think the House is going to flip. That's definitely.
How many seats?
I think maybe about 52.
52. Okay. We're going to check this later. Your entire reputation is on the line right here. Your credibility here. 52 seats, a game by the Republicans in the House. Okay, 52. Yeah. And in the Senate, how many?
The Senate, I think the Democrats are going to hold on in the Senate. I would go with maybe 7 seats there.
52-7. All right. Let's. Susan, what do you think?
I think actually we'll probably pick up about 63 seats in the House, given the way turnout's been.
63. And the Senate?
In the Senate, actually, I agree. About 7 seats.
7 seats. Okay, Christina?
Well, I'm actually going to go with 50.
50?
Right.
Okay.
I was torn between 50 and 54, so I'll say 50. And I agree, 7. I really think it'll stay at 7.
Interesting. Nobody here thinks the Senate has a chance of flipping Republican in this cycle.
I think there's too many seats. I think there's like 19 Democratic senators up, and 10 of them would have to go.
Right, and plus the seats that are in play or should be in play, like for example Delaware, there's no way O'Donnell's going to pull that out. Yeah. There's too many seats that Republicans won't win to take full control.
What do you think about the Connecticut Senate race? Which way is that going to go? Because the polls show that Dick Blumenthal is ahead by anywhere from, 5 to 9 points, the last polls. But, I mean, is that still a seat in play?
Well, that breaking news that you have about the polls, I mean, that should be very disturbing for most Democrats tonight, because the ability to turn out your vote and that, more Republicans are more excited and independents are eager to go to the polls than Democrats, I think could be, a surprise. If you would have asked me that question before your story, I would have said, I don't think McMahon can win. But
there's been a lot of national focus on this race. What makes you think those aren't Democrats coming to the polls?
Right. Well, I think we also need to think about what communities are missing those ballots. If they're Democratic communities, obviously that spells trouble for Blumenthal. But I still think that even with sort of the amount of turnout and the ballot situation, I still think he has a great shot at.
I think he's he'll likely win. But again, I think it could be an upset year. It depends how big that wave is, and I think that's also what we see if we're going to pick up 50 seats or up to 70 seats, some people predict.
I think Susan's right. A high turnout favors the Republicans this year. If people are motivated to come out, they're motivated to come out and vote incumbents out of office.
So what happened in the last 2 years? There was all this enthusiasm. Barack Obama was elected, and the country was giddy, and the Democrats took over the entire state capital of the nation's capital, and here we are 2 years later with a virtual collapse on our hands. What happened, Christina?
Well, the party in power always loses seats during the midterm, and the Democrats will lose quite a few seats in 2010 because many of the seats that they gained in 2008 and even in 2006 weren't even Democratic seats to begin with. So we're just seeing that a large portion of the seats are just going back to their natural resting place, which is in the Republican camp, and then they will also lose seats, but that's just the nature of American politics and midterm elections.
Is this just the nature of American politics, or is there something else at work here?
Well, I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the Obama administration, the Democrats, really misread public opinion. I think they dismissed a lot of the complaints and criticism as coming from extremists, and really a lot of that was coming from some of the same people who put them into office.
Yeah, and I think the House especially was responsible for bringing up an agenda that was even more liberal than what Barack Obama campaigned on. So that ultra-liberal agenda really did hurt this administration, and they kind of let them run with it, which was
it was more the agenda than just the discontent with the economy and unemployment and all of this stuff.
Well, I think it's also a communication problem with the current administration. I mean, what they've done, they haven't been able to articulate to the left or to the right sort of their successes.
They've made plenty of speeches, believe me. If they haven't been able to articulate it, some speechwriters need to be fired, because I've never seen so many presidential speeches.
Right, but I mean, what's the takeaway, especially for sort of the Democratic base, especially?
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, stick around. You're going to be here for the long night with us, and we'll get more deeply into into the wisdom on the panel, and we'll check these numbers tomorrow. Keep track of these things. Okay, President Obama and his Democrats, as you've heard, are bracing not just for election losses, but maybe a repeat